It was barely over 400.
Right.
And now you're seeing over 20,000
Are we
being
being,
reported.
Zach Drew, you've really become the researcher. And are we being told the truth, do you think?
Oh, my. All right. So we haven't even begun to scratch the surface. So we can really go deep, but I want to just address those numbers really quickly. And we're going to go so much deeper than this. But I have an article right here. It says tens of thousands likely infected by now. It says medical experts from the University of Hong Kong warned recently that governments should implement draconian measures to limit the spread of the new Wuhan virus. Now you got to understand, you got to think about this. This is the University of Hong Kong. They're not producing a report for clickbait. They're not trying to be sensational to get more attention.
That's right.
This is experts from the University of Hong Kong are saying that it's likely, this was last week.
Yeah.
That last week it was 44,000.
Oh, more than that.
And
Oxford and Harvard both say at least 100,000.
Exactly. So it went from there, then to a nurse on the
See how the
ground.
numbers are different? And it's crazy. And what we're finding out, they're hiding the truth. And I'm going to unveil some of it. Because people, it's not, you know, people say, well, we don't want you to get panicked. Well, the thing of it is, I want you to be prepared.
Right.
I want you to know that's coming. And this thing could have been stopped. It was out of the bag before they told us.
I desperately want to back it up with sources. So first, and I'm going to get to even what Sharon just said. So first it was Hong Kong University, 44,000. Then we have a nurse that's literally there. It was trending on Twitter. She was a nurse in Wuhan.
I saw the video.
And she said that it was 90,000. Then we have literally one of the top dogs on the faculty. He's a public health scientist on the faculty of Harvard. Estimate that, as you're quoting, it could be nearly 200,000. We are not being told the truth, even down to, yes, we're just being lied to. We've got to wake up. We're being told that it came from snakes or possibly bat soup from this wet market, or otherwise known as a seafood market, but it wasn't a seafood market. It's actually a wet market in Wuhan, China. Let me read. Can I read an article for you, just to kind of wake us up a little bit?
Yeah, that's what I
want to read this article. If this is on the screen, please look at the date this was written. This was written in 2017. Please look at the origin of where this article was from.
I know what you're going to read.
It's from Wuhan, China, 3 years ago. It says this: inside the Chinese lab, poised to study the world's most dangerous pathogens. It says here, and it's from 2017, it's from Wuhan, China. A laboratory in Wuhan is on the cusp of being cleared to work with the world's most dangerous pathogens. The move is part of a plan to build between 5 and 7 biosafety level 4 BSL-4 labs, I know Derek has some info on that, across the Chinese mainland by 2025, and has generated much excitement as well as some concerns. Listen to how ominous this sounds. Remember, 2017. Some scientists outside of China have been worrying about this. They worry about the pathogens escaping and the addition of biological dimension to geopolitical tensions between China and other nations. But Chinese microbiologists are celebrating their entrance into the elite cadre of the empowered to wrestle with the world's greatest biological threats. And what I'm saying is this: are we led to believe that it's just a matter of coincidence that ground zero for this deadly coronavirus just happens to be in the only lab in all of China that was researching coronaviruses? I believe, and we can talk about this, that it came from the lab.
That cannot be proven. There's no smoking gun, but there are a lot of connections that need to be addressed. Did you know that recently, within the last year, a team went to the permafrost area in China, up by Tibet, and dug down ice cores and extracted, when they melted it down, dozens of brand new coronaviruses that had never been seen before. And they did that because scientists want to know how a virus works. And they want to be prepared for the next pandemic. So you find out what's in the world that can possibly infect a human. Again, dozens of new coronaviruses discovered just recently.
Now, and as Zach pointed out, this lab in Wuhan, China is the only one in China that's certified to work with these really deadly pathogens. But interestingly, a story from Canada last year connects to this. And this is something I mentioned at the time, last August. It was reported by mainstream media in Canada that a virologist at the National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg, which is Canada's only BSL-4 laboratory, she and her husband and several colleagues, all Chinese nationals, were escorted out of the facility, had their security clearances revoked because it was found by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police that in March of last year, March of 2019, they had shipped live virus samples of Ebola and Nipah, which is another deadly pathogen, back to Beijing. Now, this Dr. Chu, she is known to have made 5 trips back to China in 2017 and 2018, right after this lab in Wuhan was certified, to train scientists at this specific laboratory. So we've got connections here. Now, this virologist, Dr. Chu, has done some really good work. She helped develop ZMapp, which is a treatment for Ebola, which was needed after the West African Ebola outbreak of 5 years ago. Over 11,000 people died in that outbreak. So she's done some good work. It's not clear that she was literally spying for the Chinese government, but certainly research being paid for by Canadian taxpayers was benefiting the Chinese government. And she's got a connection to that BSL-4 laboratory in Wuhan.
If you're going to bring up Chinese spying, espionage takes place between countries
all
the time.
Yes.
We're always trying to develop something that we can use against another country that will hurt them, but not us.
Right.
There is a program called the 1,000 Talents Program, which is paid for by China. They offer grants and incomes, we'll just put it that way, to scholars coming to the United States. And they work not only with the graduate students, but also with the graduates' professors. And recently, a number of 1,000 Talent recipients have been uncovered, and they are now suspected of espionage.
Yeah, and the thing is, not all of these scholars are Chinese nationals.
And they're almost all virologists of some kind.
Right, but even in other disciplines. For example, the chair of the Department of Chemistry at Harvard, Dr. Lieber, was just recently arrested. You know, Harvard's not the only one. The University of Florida has found several. Texas A&M University has found more than a dozen who are on the Chinese payroll. When
Boston University as well.
Yes.
Yes,
So
Boston was in there.
when researchers working at American universities accept payment from other governments or other agencies for other governments, they're supposed to disclose this conflict of interest or potential conflict of interest with the United States government, and that hasn't been happening. And it's only been the last year or so that the FBI has said, oh, we should have paid attention to this sooner. Now, is there a connection between this and the outbreak of the virus? We don't know. But what we do know is that it's becoming obvious that the Chinese government has been benefiting from research, high-level research, in the fields of virology, chemistry, and other academic disciplines that have been paid for by the American and Canadian taxpayers.
All the news in the last months has been impeachment, 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 and then now we're into the next election year. So now we've got a whole year of the election.
Yes.
But no news much. There's a little bit now and then they're starting to put out, you know, it's getting worse when you're getting little pieces of it.
That's right.
But it's out there, and we're not being told the truth of what's happening. That's why you need to study. And we got to put, Mondo, more of this into our news on the JimBakkerShow.com, where people can get the information. And Zach is researching with us. We've got volumes. I've got volumes. And it have so much that I'm afraid we're going to overwhelm them in this first day. But this book, if you have it, get it out. Many of you have it. Thousands of my viewers have this book. It looks like a mess. Well, that's my personal messy copy. The Great Influenza, the story of the deadliest pandemic in history. Now, this one that is on the horizon here that's happening right now is being compared to 1918.
Yes, it is.
And so the Bible says there would be
death from the animals, pestilence, that will ultimately kill 1/4 of the world.
How many do you think that is?
I know. It's so there's 7.8 billion people in the world. So 1/4 of that is going to be over 1.9, about 1.95 billion people would die from this.
And that's from the Bible.
Yes, it's already been written.
When I studied the Revelation, I studied it in relationship to events that had already taken place, because God had spoken to me. These things have happened in past in small amounts and different amounts. God is not sneaky.
No.
God doesn't make things to try to hide them from you. He wants to reveal it. And this very event, the Great Influenza, that is predicted for the last days. So tell me again how many people will die.
1.95 billion people.
Do you know what stopped it? Do you know what the people that didn't get it? Read the book.
Yeah, they self-quarantined.
Say it.
They self-quarantined.
What did they
didn't
do? What
leave
did they do?
their home. They would, many times, they would actually board up their homes, and they literally could not leave. And they
Right.
couldn't leave for actually months if they
Yeah.
wanted to stay safe, because this great influenza, it came in
And
three waves.
they had food in their house because, you know, Granny canned canned goods.
But you know, the amazing thing that we've been able to do, and I know people, a lot of even preachers have made fun of us, and that's okay. But
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
I know you're not. But I'm just saying that, you know, we have so many amazing food offers. If you go to JimBakkerShow.com, you can see them all.
We have enough food at our house for many years, many years. And so our children, if that's coming, I'm saying, children, get into our home. We're going to close the door. Now, Zach, I'm asking you a question. This is your test to see if you graduate or not. But what spread the flu the most in 1918? What spread it from house to house more than anything else? Do you remember?
I'm going to pass. I don't even need to use a lifeline. It was the mailman.
It was the mailman. Mm-hmm. In the horse and buggy days, that was and the mailman, read it in this history book, the mailman spread. You can't let one person in if the pandemic's coming, if it's there.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're not living in fear. We're living in preparation.
No,
We're sounding the alarm.
But when I told you, Lori, and I said, honey, we've got the food, and what we will do, we'll have to. We just lock up the house. Nobody can get in.
No, you did. You
can't go to the mailbox. You can't go talk to the mailman. You love to talk to people. You can't do it.
I love to talk.
You can't do it. And so
I love to talk to.
But
I love
here's
to
the
talk to
thing.
you.
So
especially.
you that have for your food, make sure it's it's all in good shape and in there, because it's for this time of a pandemic that you have food stored, and we have 30-year shelf life food.
We do,
and people can have food to eat in a time when you got to stand out, and then you have to have water.
That's right. You need to have
And
your
so you
Station
that have the water
pitcher.
bottles
Yes,
with
and
that
bottles, yes.
purify.
Right.
You can purify mud puddles if you have to, and make water to stay alive.
Well, just to share real quick about the food that we do, the food offers that we do have today available for you right now. We have the Prepared Pantry 90 meal
Bucket.
Isn't that right? So that's for a donation that you see it on the screen, $150 or more to the ministry, and that will give you 90 meals. It's just that. I always call it peace of mind. I always keep begging everyone to call it a peace of mind offering and still don't get it. But it does give you peace of mind, especially women. We're the ones